Let's see how that works. Except we're going a little bit out of focus. Okay, there we go. May have to do that on occasion, only because it goes out of focus, and I don't want that to happen. Welcome to our latest video on the metaphysical world and the alternative medicine and such. Last time, you might remember, we did a lot of elements and how many electrons and protons they have. But the fact is, the in all the chemical combinations, you remember if let's do for example, we had the carbon, we had the nucleus, and then we had the first shell with 2 electrons, and then the second shell with 4. Right? Remember that? This is carbon. This is depicting the whole atom, but when it comes to chemistry and biochemistry and everything else that we talk about with metaphysics and like what matters is not that inner shell of 2. The only thing that matters is the outer shell, because that's where everything chemical happens. So what you will see is what we call a Lewis structure. Okay? What that is if you remember, carbon has, as an example, this can be done for any element, I'm just using carbon because it's such an important element. Carbon has 4 electrons in its outer shell. And a carbon atom would be depicted like that. Now, notice I don't show the inner 2. They're not involved. So this Lewis structure is outer shell only, because that's all that's involved. So now the main thing is we want to talk about, if there is something you have to, because it's just so critical, it's so important. Bonding. And by that we mean, how does a hydrogen atom combine with a carbon, which is one of the bases of biochemistry? How does any element combine with any element? Well, okay, I'm going to make this as simple as I can. I don't want to get complicated, because in reality it is a pretty simple concept. But there are 2 types. Covalent bonding. And what that means is that the 2 elements, or the 2 atoms, are sharing electrons. And then there is ionic bonds, which are much more, they're much more electrically, Gabriel, yeah, Gabriel gonna knock the camera over. My big dog's here. He's walking by. I'm going to hold the camera. There you go. We want to learn about this Gabriel. There he is. See him? You want to learn about bonding too. Oh, isn't that sweet? Ionic bonding is electrostatic, where there's positive and negatives attracting each other. And there's a reason for that. We'll get into that. Now, let's have a look, for example, at oxygen. And it is not a nucleus. This is an oxygen. O stands for oxygen. In its outer shell, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons. If you remember, he wants 8 in his outer shell. So here comes hydrogen with his 1. He plugs in there. Hydrogen right there. H2O. Plain old good water. And we will probably do a video in the future on water alone. Because in reality, it is one of the most kind of like mysterious. And of course, obviously, it's important, vital to life. And it has its own unique nuclear structure, which if it didn't have, much of life wouldn't exist. We'll get into the future, but for the most part, and for this simple drawing, and I notice the oxygen has 8 electrons in its outer shell. Helium has 2 in its, helium. Hydrogen has 2 in its outer shell, so they're happy. So water is very stable. Okay, this is covalent because he is sharing. He comes in, he gives it up freely, but he stays. He gives up his electron, but he stays. And so this is an example of covalent bonding. Another great example is this. Carbon. He has 4. And his outer shell. Here comes hydrogen with its 1. Here comes hydrogen, another hydrogen with his 1. Another one. Carbon's got 8 in its outer shell. Each hydrogen has 2 in its outer shell. Covalent bonding. And this is CH4, or methane. MBT. Whoa, learn how to spell, Frank. Methane gas. Now, let's get into more of a okay, oxygen's got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know if you remember, but the closer he is to having his an atom is to having its outer shell filled, the more he wants that last couple. Well, one of the great ones is chlorine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 7 in his outer shell. He wants that 8th one badly. And hydrogen is more than happy to give this 1 electron. The hydrogen has 2. The chlorine is now filled with its outer shell with 8. Just simply HCl, hydrochloric acid. A vital substance to you being alive, because this is how your stomach breaks up proteins into the up into amino acids. Now, like if it wasn't for the hydrochloric acid in your stomach, you wouldn't be alive. Another one. This is going to be a little different. Let's see if I can remember. 1, 2. That's not right. I don't want to do that one. I remember what I want to do. Carbon has 4, right? Jeez, sorry guys. And we could have the 4 hydrogens around there that we had for methane. Well, we couldn't put a hydrogen here. Put a hydrogen here. Put a hydrogen here. Actually, I don't go to get myself some water. Okay, so we had this, but we have 1 left here. Now there could be another H here. That once again, that's methane gas. But what if we put a carbon there? He has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 2 carbons bond. These 2 carbons are sharing one electron each. And so this could be hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. Oh, this is ethane gas. And is written as C2H6. And then you go C3H8. This can go on forever, or virtually forever. That's propane, C4H10, butane, in your butane lighter. It really is like double this. But noticing, just keep, every time we add a carbon and more hydrogens, it changes what it is. Now, I'll show you something else. Let's make sure we are still recording. We definitely are. As far as like a shorthand, what when you have you've got two carbons, they actually share. Okay, let's do this. Let's redo ethane. And that's once again C2H6. Instead of drawing the dots, it's easier just to draw a line. So we could redraw this as C, H, 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 4H, H, H. These two are exactly the same, where each dash is 2 electrons. Now, what's to keep this from happening? We'll first do a Lewis structure. This looks a little weird, doesn't it? Here's this carbon's 4 electrons, 2, 3, 4. Here's this carbon's 4 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4. We could put a hydrogen here, a hydrogen here, a hydrogen here, and a hydrogen there. Is everything satisfied? Well, all the hydrogens have 2. And all the carbons have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This carbon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is ethene. Not that you need to know that, but I just want to illustrate the concept here. See this right here? That would be written as C double bond with H, 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 and H. What's to keep it from having one more from each and this disappear? See, carbon has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got 2. He's got 2. This carbon's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This would be shown as a triple bond with 1 hydrogen attached to each of the carbons. I hope that this doesn't blow you away. I think that the amount of electrons is the same. This is ethane gas, by the way. No, once again, not that that matters. Well, it's more. Now, the reason I want to point this out with the double and triple bonding is this. When you have you could have that. If you want, you could draw in the dot, draw this in rather with the dots, but why would you? But the fact is, each carbon has 4 electrons on it. So he would have, 4 bonds and 8 electrons. Well, that's one that bond. That would be 2, 3, 4. That would be invalid. 1 bond, 2 bond, 3 bond, 4 bond, 5. 5 don't work. He just would have 1 carbon. So would he. 1, 2, 3, 4. He would have 1. She would have 1. Because you count all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4 for him. 1, 2, 3, 4 for him. 1, 2, 3, 4 for him. Well, guess what though? He needs 3 carbon or 3 hydrogens to have 4 around him. This would be written CH3, CH, double bond, C, single bond. One, two, C. Yeah, I'm sorry. CH, CH, double bonded to a C, like that. Now you sit there and think, something. And I hope this isn't confusing. What we are looking at here, for example, is especially in biochemistry, where whether you have double bonds or not changes the shape and the operation and what that chemical does tremendously. And also, you've heard, instead of that, it could be here. It could be a double bond there. Of course, this would change. That would be, then that would have to be CH3. That's a totally different compound, whatever it is. You've heard, I know you've heard, of the terms saturated fats and polyunsaturated. And you probably have to wonder, what the hell are they talking about? Saturated with what or whatever? Okay. Here's the difference. In saturated, remember, let's make it 6 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No double bonds. These would all be H's. Okay, just pretend they're all H's. He is saturated with hydrogens at every point because he's got no double bonds. It's saturated with, I'm going to draw them in anyway. This is a saturated hydrocarbon. Much, and granted, it's not saturated fats, but the concept is the same. We'll get into that later. But this means, a saturated means there's no double bonds or triple bonds. And we got, we have maximum amount of hydrogens. Now, if by whatever chemical procedure is used to make the item, let's say this was a double bond. What we do is we would lose that, and we would lose that. Have to. Because 4 bonds around each carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is an unsaturated because it doesn't have, it's not saturated with hydrogens anymore. I can also do this one. So at this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he disappears. 1, 2, he disappears. This is Saturated. This is poly. Unsaturated. Poly means many or more than one anyway. We got two of them. When you get into the fats and such and of the human body at the biochemical level and the foods that you eat, these, you probably heard polyunsaturated is better for you. It is. There's no question. Because of this, it's less hydrogen you're taking in. And it also, even though when we believe it or not, when we change these, whenever we change these two from single to double, you tremendously changed the shape of the actual molecule. And that's important, and we'll get into that later. But let's get into another one. A couple more examples here. Sulfur. And it has 2 electrons in its outer shell. H. Okay, let me think about this. Actually, let's do this. Because I don't know if you remember, oxygen has got 2 electrons in its outer shell it wants to give up. He takes the 2 from him. He takes the 2 from him. And let's see. One more oxygen, or 2 more. But wait a minute, oxygen has to have 2 around it. So let's put a hydrogen on him. So we got sulfur, which now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because he has 2 of his own. So he's, with 6 more, he has 8. The oxygens are happy. They got 2, 2. He's got 1, 2, 1, 2. H2SO4, otherwise known as sulfuric acid. Yeah, right. Okay, bonds. Oh, let's do the one with remember, sodium's got its 1, chlorine has 7, wants that 1. In the case of sodium, he literally, if sodium and what we're just going to describe here is the ionic bond. What happens is he wants that electron so bad, he literally takes it. If sodium comes by and he says, I got 8. And now he is minus that 1, which actually he's happy about. Because now his outer shell is actually full. He lost that 1 that was hanging out there. This becomes plus charge. This becomes minus charge. And as we all know, positives and negatives attract. And the 2 ions, the sodium ion and the chlorine ion, come together like magnets. And that's the salt that you eat. Now, one other thing is, oh my goodness, especially in biochemistry and throughout the universe, you may have seen this. A hexagon. That means a double bond. When this is drawn, this is actually by itself benzene. Which to us by itself is it's carcinogenic. It's actually poison if you were to drink it. So what is this? How is this made? Well, in these kind of drawings, each corner is a carbon and the hydrogens are not written. So what you would have is this. You have a C attached to a carbon, double bonded to a carbon, carbon, double bonded to a carbon, that's what that really is. Now we have to fill in the H's to make each carbon have 4 bonds around it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what a benzene atom or molecule, really looks like. Well, kind of, sort. And this double, for our purposes, that's fine. I'm not going to get into the quantum mechanics of it because in reality, it doesn't look like that. But for our purposes, it does. This is the basis of, by itself, as I said, it's benzene. But when you attach it to other carbons and hydrogens, it becomes the stuff of life. Kind of like salt. Salt in that it's got sodium and chlorine, 2 things that are deadly to you. But benzene, when you start attaching stuff to it, it takes on, becomes different compounds. Okay? Right. But the end of the discussion on bonds, being chemical bonds, when bonds are made, nothing is done in the universe for free. There is energy. Like we've said, everything is energy. There's a flow of energy. Once again, like water, H2O. When those combine, it takes energy to create those bonds. Think of it this way. It's an investment. The energy goes into the bonds and stays there until the bonds are broken. That is what, and for example, your entire digestive system is geared towards that. It breaks the bonds in all the very complex, like carbohydrates and such, that you eat. It breaks them down into simpler stuff. But breaking those bonds gives off energy. The energy it took to put them in. You get nothing for free. Nothing's free in the universe. Now, I'm going to draw. I have to do this because it's just important. Okay, so bear with me for a minute. We have a phosphorus with an OH group. That's called a hydroxyl group, by the way. Something you have hundreds of octillions in your body. Double bonded to an O. You know what? I better start this further down. See that there? Yeah. Double bonded to an O. Think we're done? No. Oh, wait till you see this. Here we have a hydrogen, OH, which comes down from here, and boom, double bond, nitrogen, comes over here, down here, with a double bond, goes up here, over here, double bond, nitrogen, that is a double bond. And we got H2 here. What the hell is this? You might ask. I can only guess how many of this exact same molecule, there's no H here, I'm sorry, is inside your body. This is ATP. Adeno. Adenosine triphosphate, 3 phosphates. So what the hell is it? This is exactly what your cells burn to get the energy that you need to live. And actually, I can't begin to guess, probably hundreds and hundreds of quadrillions of these within every cell of your body. Every cell of your body has trillions of these. They are made. We're going to probably have an episode, a video of the cell itself. But there's the power plant of the cell is called the mitochondria. The cytocell, it's the power is the power cell. That's where these get created, using the energy that of the bonds that was released from the food that you ate, and they build these bonds. It's these bonds right here. The bonds to the phosphate is where your energy breaks those bonds, and they get tremendous amounts of energy, and it enables you to live. That's where your energy comes from, is by burning ATP. And what it does is it literally breaks this bond, and there is a tremendous gush of energy out, which is used for you to live, for each cell of your body. This is constantly made. The ATP is constantly made by your mitochondria and constantly used. It never ends from the moment you are conceived until the moment they bury you in the ground. It happens literally trillions of times in you per second, every day of your life. I find it amazing. That's why I just want to emphasize that the main point I want you to take away from this is these bonds between the oxygen and the phosphorus. When it actually loses one of these, that the bond was put there and is using the energy from the food you eat to make these bonds, and then wherever that energy is needed, there are enzymes, and we're going to talk about that shortly, that break that and get the energy released. And that energy is what runs your cells, enables your cell to do everything else that it does. There is, I'm trying to keep this as simple as I can. You're probably looking at it, this is simple. Yeah, it is. Compared to what it really is. As far as, I cannot emphasize this enough, there are literally millions of chemical reactions that happen inside of your body, or it happens inside of every cell of your body, every single second. There are, in your eye, in your retina, there is chemical reactions that happen literally millions of times a second that enable you to see. You may think it's just straight, what chemical reaction? Well, we'll talk about it in time. But it's amazing. I know about it. It's freaking amazing. When we talk about the DNA that's inside, and we will, the cells, when you get into it, so what's the DNA? It's basically the instructions for life. It's the instructions for making proteins. And folks, it's freaking amazing how it's done. And I don't know. I'm not a big traditional believer in what you would call God, or But I tell you what, I don't see how anyone, when you know how have a good idea of how the cell works and how life works, I do not see how you can understand that just happened. I look at all I can think of is there was thought behind this. It's too complicated. It's too perfect. It works miraculously. Something engineered this. I find it hard to believe it developed totally by itself. Matter of fact, I tend to be I'm a very open-minded individual, but there's times but I was reared in science and logic dictates to me that this had to come from somewhere. What happens in every cell, this just didn't develop on its own because it wanted to. It's impossible. There was thought behind it from somewhere, some way, somehow. I'm not saying who or where or what, I don't know. But the knowledge for this had to come from somewhere. But you're getting into the metaphysical realm a little bit there. And that's good, because that's what I want to do. I want to apply the stuff we learned to both the biochemical nature of you and the metaphysical universe as a whole. So that's what I think we're going to end with today. Now, I think the next video we're going to talk about some of the stuff in the body that you've all heard of, I think, but we'll go into much more detail. Enzyme, exactly what they are. Everyone has heard the term, but what do they really do? Can you tell me? Can you tell me what enzymes really do? Well, you'll find out. And hormones, and other things too, and hormones, which are related, but not really. They're different chemical classes, so to speak. Hormones and enzymes. I mean, they're not one and the same, but there's some interlink between them. Which we will find out, but there is something that the enzymes, wasn't for enzymes and what they do, there wouldn't be life at all. All right, so we'll end it there, and I will see you next time.